Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The next Industry 5.0 Wasteless Work Talks are here with Kevin, Mark, and myself. We will write on a vector of a language towards wasteless world. And we do it by speaking about one and simple word, and the word cannot be simpler today, I'm sure. It's kiss. And because I have you, Kevin, on the top of my screen, I will start with you. So what came first to your mind when you hear that the term will be kiss?
Well, it was my first kiss. I can still remember it. I was 5 or 6 years old, living in Somerset in England, and it was very close to a large military airbase. And that part of Somerset had been where a lot of Polish expats had settled at the end of World War II. So there was a large Polish community there. And even as a 5 years old, I was well aware that the Polish girls were much more pretty than the English girls. And so my first kiss was with a Polish girl called Beverly, I remember, as a 5-year-old. It was so romantic.
So beautiful. And I just wonder, Mark, if you can beat it.
But I can't possibly. So I will take it in a totally different direction. On the one hand, we look at the intimacy of the kiss. Okay? But it's just like the intimacy of two billiard balls touching. It is the kiss of the balls. And I mean that on a table. Okay? The other thing that always strikes me also when I hear the word kiss is I'm reminded of funny hats that one used to see at the seaside, which had on them the words, "Kiss me quick." And I always thought they were hilarious then, not only as a hat, but by who was wearing them. And you could see a certain element of desperation in some of the wearers, okay? And frankly, one should avoid at all costs. But that intimacy of the kiss is so special. And also the way in which we do it. So, is it a two-cheek kiss or a three kiss? Okay, so is it just a peck on the cheek, or is it, so the Brits traditionally, it was possibly one cheek, mainland Europe, two cheeks, Belgium and Switzerland, three. And it was really funny getting into the routine, living in Switzerland and suddenly greeting someone. And when you were on the unexpected third kiss, you really wondered what was coming next. And of course, it was nothing. It was just a very fond, polite greeting. How many times do you kiss, Michael?
Sorry, how?
How many times do you kiss
In
when
my
you're
life?
greeting someone?
No,
No,
not at
no,
all.
no,
Not at all.
no.
No, we don't do it usually. We don't do it at all. I think if you look back to 70s, 1970s, something like that, Brezhnev, I think it was Brezhnev who was very, very familiar with the kiss, not on the cheek, but he was the one who kissed with full lips all the politicians he met. But we don't do it. We don't do cheek kiss, or very rare, I will say. If we kiss the truly kiss of love, I will call it. We just shake our hands.
Okay.
We don't kiss.
So you don't go in at all for the air kiss?
No.
Yeah. So the air kiss as you're going in on the cheek, but you don't actually touch. You just hover near the cheek.
We don't
So
even do
what
this.
you said. My goodness me.
Of course,
I
the new
don't know.
generation time to time do it, but we don't do it. Uh, there is a reason why I choose Kiss. It's not only Jane, because her Kiss really changed my life almost a year ago. But last week, as I mentioned, was my grandchild born. And we have been there the second day after, or the first day after the birth. And she was so lovely and beautiful. And I took her little hand and kissed it. And Jane took the picture. And at that moment, I realized that 54 years are kissing one day. And I remember my touch with my granddad, who was, we just touched our hands, but it was 150 years in this one picture. So it was quite interesting. And this is why I decided to take kiss as the term. The interesting part was in the noon discussion where we discovered the different habits, not only European, but for example, in Africa, the people are not used to kiss, not at all in public. That's generally unpolite, no matter which type of kiss. You can do it only in private.
Mm.
But it was interesting. It was statement from Tanzania, but Usi says that it's common for many African countries.
It is funny with different nations. When I first met Anna, she said, "Oh, I've never met anyone from Scotland before, and all I can find out is that you're very warlike." And I said, "No, we're really romantic. Have you never heard of a Scottish kiss?" And so she looked it up, but by mistake, she looked up Glasgow kiss instead, which is something entirely different. And so she said, "Yeah, I can't find out what a Scottish kiss is." I said, "Well, you can download the instructions on the internet if you like, but it's more than 50 pages." She said, "Oh my God, is this true?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "Well, how do I practice that?" I said, "Have you got a vacuum cleaner?" And at that point, she gave up.
That's a
Oh
nice.
my goodness. Oh my goodness. No, that's lovely. That's lovely. Yes. The I was just trying. Okay, so what are the origins of the word kiss? Do we know?
I haven't checked it.
No, but it is like you say with the snooker balls. It does mean a gentle brush or the
Exactly.
gentlest touch.
Exactly. It is so gentle when you get that
You,
kiss of the billiard balls.
I do remember, Kevin, that we spoke about face. And at the end, we realized that face is a very private part of life, of the body, because not so many touch the face of other person. But with kiss is exactly the same. So generally, it's even more, I will call more sensitive. Despite everybody see the lips, but not everyone is ready to kiss someone or to receive a kiss. And I do remember the last 10 years of my marriage, the broken one, which I'm divorced already from, we haven't kissed with my wife. Not a single time.
Hmm. Of
And
course, we haven't mentioned the band.
yes, we haven't.
And that's probably a good thing. I personally couldn't stand them. I found Alice Cooper great fun. I found the New York Dolls occasionally amusing, but Kiss were just didn't do it for me. Were you into them?
Never, never.
No.
I just
No,
remember the
the
painted faces. So when I was a boy or when I was young, it was not so well accessible in Czechoslovakia. So they serve as something like a protest movement sign, but I listened to them a few times, but I do not remember whether I like them or not.
So Gene Simmons, who was in Kiss, is in Kiss, also came across as a complete Wally. I will just say Wally. And one of the guys whose views on music I find most interesting is an American guy called Bob Lefsetz. And Bob does a newsletter, and his knowledge of music is extraordinary. And he's been on many conferences now in the podcasting scene. He has a radio show. And Bob Lefsetz is one of those guys whose passion for music comes through totally. And a few years ago, a number of years ago, Bob was at a conference, and he is regarded with great respect by many, many musicians and certainly many fans. He was never a musician himself, but just someone who loved the music, what it was. And he was on this panel with Gene Simmons. And Gene Simmons was full of he was suffering from delusional entitlement disorder. He saw himself as a celebrity of standing and didn't quite get the fact that most of the people viewing and they're in the audience actually had more respect for Bob than they ever did for Gene. And Gene didn't get it at all and couldn't understand why he was not being treated in the manner that he as a star should be. And never having really been into the band, that just sealed the whole deal with a Kiss. No, it sealed my lack of appreciation of the band. So yeah, we can move on from them.
I just wonder, I know there are different types of kiss with the lips and so on, but we call one Eskimo kiss, where you just touch the nose of the other person. We call it Eskimo kiss. I don't know whether the people use this way. And I think some Indians use the nose as well in a form of kissing. But, sorry?
It's certainly practiced by the Maori in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And the Maori will, what's interesting about it is that to the outsider, it looks as if two human beings have a desperate desire to rub noses, okay? But actually, the reason for it is that by having that proximity, and often they will rest foreheads against each other, is that the idea is that both parties, both of them, should be able to feel the breathing of the other person. And that is the intimacy of understanding another person by being that close to their breathing.
I like to kiss Jane, where it's not just a soft touch, it's a really big kiss, and we breathe together. It can long for minutes, and we breathe in one breath. It's quite interesting that I never had this before, but my question where I came into the direction of the kiss was that how it can happen that just such a very short moment of kiss, of narrowing two parts of the body, of two bodies, or one part of the body, is so powerful. It's not the handshake, it's not the whatever. It's really the kiss. Or do you know, if we do not speak about sex in general, but if we speak about really touching, is there anything more powerful than the kiss in emotional expression?
No, if you think about it, the lips are the most sensitive part of our heads. It's the most sensitive exposed part of the body. And so it becomes so intimate because it is the most sensitive touching the most sensitive. So it's the closest we can get to experiencing each other.
Hmm. And I like the idea about the breath, of course, which I think it's important as well. It's like we say all the time that we are becoming the other person. So we are so close that we are exchanging our soul in some way, and it is really unbelievable. And I was surprised. I cannot live in Tanzania because I walk all the time with Jane hand in hand, no matter where we are, and we kiss no matter where we are as well. So it will not be welcomed in Africa probably or in Tanzania at all.
No,
Michael, do you have
yeah. Sorry.
what we call a French kiss? Do you have the same thing in,
Yes.
yeah.
And
I
this is
remember
the
as a
type of kiss
teenager,
I'm speaking about. Yeah.
yeah. I remember as a teenager learning that if it's a French kiss, it's going to be much better than an English one.
Yeah. Okay. But it's really interesting to looking at that intimacy and proximity of two people to each other. Okay. So when we're in the north of Europe, the people, when they're talking, will stand at least an arm's length from each other. You can put the tips of your fingers on the shoulder of the other person. Okay. And then as you go further south, go down towards the Mediterranean and through France, you will find that people get closer and closer. It becomes more intimate. And rather than it being the fingertips, the hand is on the other person's shoulder, and then it starts moving up the arm. Okay? And there's this lovely story. Poor Desmond Morris, who died just this week.
Really?
Yeah, he just died. Desmond, bless him, was such a lovely guy. I was lucky to work with him. And Desmond told me this wonderful story of how a British delegation went to one of the Arab states in the Middle East. And all of these British businessmen went down to meet with locals down there. And when they got down, they were all put into a room. And within 10 minutes, it ended up with all of the British visitors with their backs to the wall, absolutely stuck there. And the folks from the Middle East who expected to have the elbow on the shoulder of the other person, they were standing so close that as the thing had begun, they would approach and the Brits would step back and they would step forward and the Brits would step back until the Brits had their backs up against the wall and they couldn't go any further. And Desmond made this wonderful observation that there is a direct inverse correlation between how close people like to be to each other and the amount of garlic that they eat. The more garlic eaten, the closer they like to be. I don't understand it.
But the Naked Ape is one of the most influential books I ever read. It
Yes.
just changed my view about humans as a species after that. It was wonderful.
No, he was so lovely. He very graciously. I had lost a copy of my copy of Man Watching, his book, and I'd mentioned this in the meeting, and he said, "Look, I've got so many books in the house," and he gave me some of his books, including the Man Watching one, and I was very grateful. And I got it home, opened it up, and it was actually the copy of the first edition that he'd given to his parents. And inside, he'd signed it to his parents from him.
Wow.
It was really, really special. But he was not only an anthropologist, of course, and did all of this work on TV and with zoos, but he was also a very talented artist. His works were very similar to Salvador Dali, and he shared, I think, his first exhibition in London, big exhibition, he shared with Miro. Quite extraordinary, yes. But anyway, so that's on proximity and not just breathing, but the amount of garlic. So
I know that frequently we try to find the opposite of kiss, or of the term. So is there any opposite of kiss?
well, certainly if we go back to snooker and billiards, it's clearly not a gentle touch, it's a smash. Okay. And I mean, one does or one doesn't. Possibly an air kiss is the opposite of a real kiss.
Or if you take it the other way, a snog is the opposite of a kiss.
Yes, yes, a snog.
A snog.
Sounds like a creature from the Welsh valleys, doesn't it? That
Yeah.
should listen, that should be living in a steam engine. Yes.
Yeah, it's true. But it's funny because I was joking with Anna. Anna has a really large mouth with big teeth in it. So she gets compared to Julia Roberts when she smiles. But I put it to her another way and always say that she could French kiss an elk.
Oh dear.
In
dear.
Scotland, we are so romantic.
I don't know. I don't know.
Right now, with the development of the technology AI, I don't know whether you saw the kissing machine for distance kissing of lovers. So you have something like the vacuum cleaner lips, whatever at the end. And it really should. I think it's a Japanese invention. So I would not expect it anywhere else. But right now, there is a lot of development in AI and humanoid robot space. And of course, there exists the sex robots, which looks exactly as the men or women with almost all the functions. But the question is, do you think that AI is today or will be in the future able to kiss if there will be the appropriate hardware installed? Or better to say, I will ask if it will understand the kiss.
I don't think so. You think a kiss is not a kiss. It can be love, it can be an affection, affection, it can be desire, it could be happiness. There are so many motivations that come with a kiss. So it's not the kiss, it's the intent behind it, which is so powerful, which AI will never be able to feel.
Do you agree, Mark?
In terms of the physics, the sense of touch is that is not a challenge, but to give the technology emotion that goes with that, no.
I'm happy to hear that because they are trying to do so, of course. So
they will always try to. Okay, and they're still trying to make gold out of whatever material you want to imagine. And who knows? People are trying to. There's AI has some wonderful capabilities. The machine learning, pattern recognition, the ability to analyze massive data sets. In these senses, it's a brilliant tool, and it has been for over 40 years. Agentic AI is not that at all. The problem is humans don't know how to interact with it. I posted, there was a story on the BBC, which I posted on LinkedIn this week, of a guy who was talking to ChatGPT 4 to 5 hours a day. And he got himself into a situation where ChatGPT explained that people were on their way to his house to attack him. And there he was, and basically psychotic incidents. There are so many of these things going on, and it's purely humans. And if we speculate that technology can do this, that, or the other, one has to ask oneself, if technology is able to do so much, why is it that it hasn't dealt with the biggest problems that have been there since technology began? Why is it that we still have children starving? Why is it that we still have people dying of malnutrition, illnesses that we know how to deal with? All of these things technology theoretically could be applied to. Instead, we dream up wonderful things that it's going to do. Colonizing Mars. Who gives a damn about colonizing Mars? Okay, when we have food deserts in Detroit. Okay, it really is. It is extraordinary. So I think the problem with the word kiss here is that, and as we have looked at it, there are wonderful romantic notions. The problem is that possibly it can put us into a romantic frame of mind in looking at technology and believing that it can do anything.
In Czech, there is a very famous poet and poem which is called First May. It's about lovers and so on. And in the years when I was a kid or even growing up, kissing under the cherry tree was something which everyone on the May 1st was for everyone something very special. This year, I went with Jane on a short trip through the country, and we visited some beautiful places, kissed ourselves under the cherry trees and many other trees. But to be honest, maybe we have seen 3 pairs to do the same. It looks like this kissing is disappearing the same as personal emotions by people. And I just read a quite interesting article about how the young people are not able to communicate face to face with the other, and how they have very big difficulties dating. And we went to a restaurant to eat something. There has been really 2 people probably on a date, young people, 18, 16, 18, I don't know, waiting for the food, texting to each other. Really, they sit next to us, texting to each other until the food came. When the food arrived, they start to eat, not a single word. They finish and they start texting again. It was so strange to see it. And I just wonder whether something like a kiss, because everybody, when we have been small or children, our parents kiss us and we receive kisses or give them, whether the kiss can be something which will unlock the human inside the human again. Something so, unfortunately, even the giants hijacked the kiss. The politicians and everyone is kissing there. Do you know the term kiss of life? Do you know the photograph?
Yes.
It's 1968. Unbelievable. And win the Pulitzer Prize. Maybe we need more of those taken today and to be shared to explain the kiss. The true value kiss.
Okay, so I would pull back from that. To kiss someone, there's a level of intimacy to the kiss. Okay, And yes, we have an incredible problem with human to human interaction, people talking to each other. Okay. So to suddenly go from not being able to talk to someone to kissing someone, the person initiating the kiss runs a great risk of being locked up in those circumstances, as is unexpected. What's amazing is that there are so many other ways of achieving that intimacy or some intimacy with another person, empathy with another person, by using something that is contagious. Okay. Now, of course, kissing is associated with contagion, and diseases can be spread very easily. Okay. During COVID, kissing was not encouraged among strangers. But what's amazing is that there are so many other forms of communication, the most powerful of which is possibly a smile. So the beauty of a smile is that it's contagious. If you smile at someone, just briefly, but you just acknowledge that they can see you smiling and then you move on, you can almost guarantee that person will smile back. You are achieving empathy. And in terms of actually getting more human interaction, people smiling at each other would have far more impact. If you can get to kissing, that's great. That's possibly a measure of it. But I think the intimacy through a smile.
Is it a measure, or is kiss the tool of language, or is it a language itself? Because I think when I was kissing for the first time, it was this child whatever kiss. But I have learned to kiss during the process of growing up, let's call it so. And what I have during every single kiss today, it's like if we speak the same language, it's not just the lips, the tongue, everything is in such a way that I will call kiss a language. Not successful right now.
Just that mosquito just wanted to kiss you.
Yeah, seems like that. I kill his brother, so I'm not sure it will be the kiss, maybe the kiss of death. The question is, who will survive?
It's funny though, you do say about, on growing up. I wonder if you two have got those memories, not such pleasant memories, of growing up as a young child and being kissed by aunts, elderly aunts, when you were a child. And these elderly aunts, some of whom were lovely, some of whom smelt a bit funny, that either just covered themselves in perfume or whatever. And they were really keen on a good smackaroonie of a kiss. And the last thing you wanted as a child was to have this elderly aunt, or in many cases, not even a relative, okay, slobbering all over you.
I think it is connected with the smell of a child, especially the very young children who smell wonderful. But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But I do slightly remember that even my memory was lost.
So if it's a newborn baby, clearly the smell of a newborn baby is wonderful. I'm delighted to hear that everything is going well with the baby. The trouble is, as the child gets older and it's been playing, hopefully outside, the aromas can become quite unpleasant with time. And there is this period where, youngsters leading a slightly feral life um, can become less attractive. Okay. Is there a language of a kiss? Of course. Their kisses in different circumstances are wonderful. But language of a kiss? Possibly going too far.
Let me ask you one thing. Kevin mentioned his first kiss. And just now, if you close your eyes, do you remember the last kiss which you received? It can be a minute ago, it can be not a minute ago, 30 minutes ago. Do you remember it? When you close your eyes, do you see it? Do you feel it?
Yes. Yes.
And you, Kevin?
No, I'm struggling to remember it.
Yeah. And it was basically because my dog wanted something to eat.
Actually, I think the last kiss I had, I bought. There's a very, yeah, there's a very cute tradition in Denmark when in England we call it a stag night for guys. I don't know what the girls' night is called.
Hen night.
Hen night, yeah. The Danes do a similar thing, and the girls go out, and the poor girl getting married is given a big jar of coins, and she has to spend the whole jar full of coins buying kisses from strangers in pubs and bars. It's very cute.
I've
Never heard
heard of that.
It's quite interesting. We have 2.5 minutes left. Is there anything more which you would like to say about kiss?
I think in terms of, I think we've touched on the intimacy, the physical, the nature of that between humans.
You just mentioned between humans, but in the last sentence you mentioned your dog, and this is why I mentioned that it is a language, because we can kiss the animal, and I think it's some way of speaking to the animal, and the animal understand our close relation through the kiss. I think maybe it is one of the languages which nobody investigated in some way or research, but maybe through the kiss we can talk to others.
Okay, so I don't want to give people the impression I go around kissing dogs, and frankly, I think my dog is more of a licker than a kisser, but it is done with the mouth.
It was a great discussion, and I feel it was very different than the last one. So it is, some words are very light, like a feather. Some words are heavy, but at the same time, I don't feel I feel that we just touched the topic, but it's a lot of which we didn't talk about. So, but I have to say goodbye. Have a nice time for your waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, be human. And let every kiss you give or receive be filled with love. That's my greeting for today. And see you next week. Bye-bye.
See you, bye.
Bye-bye.